Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's your girl, Tanya Michelle, and I'm here for the first episode of Rulers Magazine Live. For those who do not know, we just launched Rulers. Rulers is all about Black men. I am the Black woman that's behind it. A Black woman's proof that positive Black men exist. So we are reaching out to Black men all over the world and putting them in the magazine, giving them an opportunity to speak their thoughts, to share their businesses, to share their beliefs, and you know what? To give them a spot with no judgment. So Rulers is very important to me. I'm a very big Black man advocate, and I'm excited about this. And, today, I am joined by Mr. Quedo Stockling. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Or did I come close? Did I say it right or did I come close?
Very, very close. Very close.
What is it? Because we gotta make sure we get everybody's names right.
Okay. It's actually pronounced like Guido.
Guido. Okay. So it's kind of like Italian mafia.
Yeah.
Okay. So I gotta ask that question. How did you get a name like Guido? Obviously, your skin color does not look. They're not Italian, but.
Interesting story. Well, my mother, before I was born, actually watched a movie. And in that movie, the young man's name was Guido, and he inherited a large sum of money. Okay. And my mother wanted to bless me some way upon my birth, and she blessed me with that name, hoping that and praying that I would be blessed one day with a large sum of money.
Okay, Mom. I love it. She was manifested while you was in her stomach, huh?
Yes.
Oh, I love it. So Guido, now that I got it and everything, tell us about you. Where are you from?
Originally, I'm from a small south suburb of Chicago named Chicago Heights. I was born and raised there my whole life. I played basketball for my church. I wrestled for my school. And as a young man, I've always been just a little bit different. I had a different outlook and mentality thanks to the people who I had around me and who raised me.
Okay, so when you say you're different, what does that mean? Like, were you okay? So let's give my audience a vision of the neighborhood or the suburbs or the area where you were raised.
Well, the neighborhood wasn't the worst neighborhood, and it wasn't the best neighborhood where I spent most of my time. Originally, when I was younger, we lived in the projects, and then as my mother began to become more economically stable, we moved and started renting homes. And I moved from East Chicago Heights to a place called Park Forest, which is another south suburb, all in the south suburbs of Chicago. And then we ended up in Chicago Heights, where I spent the majority of my time and where I really spent as a teenager growing up, learning life lessons. So we lived in a nicer portion of the neighborhood, but not far from where I was. There was the not so nice portion. But I got to get a taste of what it was like to be in the hood and what it was like not to be in the hood.
Okay. So you were connected.
Yes.
Okay, so I have to ask the question: were you raised by your mom alone?
Primarily, yes.
Okay.
But I had two other women who were influential in my life outside of my two sisters, which is my grandmother and my godmother. Okay. They both played all of them played pivotal roles in how I was raised and brought up. My grandmother and my godmother were heavily into church, two different denominations. My godmother was a Seventh-day Adventist. My grandmother was Christian as well, but two different churches, two different points of view. But I traveled with both to be able to go to different church events, and I sang in a choir and I played basketball for the church. So I did a lot of church things all the way up until I was probably about 15, 16. I was even a summer counselor for students at the church when we had church programs. So I got a lot of different experiences growing up.
Okay. So did you have any relationship at all with your father?
Yes, I did. My dad, he stayed in Chicago.
Okay.
He would see me when he could, but and even to this day, he works like 3 or 4 jobs, and he is an entrepreneur as well. He's opened up multiple restaurants. He's a restaurateur, so he's opened multiple restaurants, and just hustling every day. So I seen him when I was able to, and it took a long time for me to understand why I couldn't see him when I wanted. And once I got older and began my own endeavors and seeing things, I began to understand better, and we now have a better relationship than we did before.
Okay. Okay. I wanted to ask that because that's it's so important in telling people's stories. So Chicago, you left Chicago, and what was your next place that you ventured to?
I joined the military.
Okay.
Uh, my
What branch?
son, my son was to be born right before my 18th birthday,
Okay.
um, and I was doing all of the wrong things. I don't think my mother knew at the time, selling drugs and doing everything else that was popular in the neighborhood because that was my environment. But I ended up joining the military, and I left for basic in '98. I joined in '97. I left for basic later that year, excuse me. And then in '98, I ended up in Germany. That was my first active duty station.
Okay.
I spent those 3 years overseas and then bounced around and came back to the States and then went back overseas and then came back to the States again. And I got deployed like 3 or 4 times and just moved around.
Okay. Did you enjoy the army for the most part?
For the most part, the Army was enjoyable. It was just a hard transition getting out of the me mindset into being a part of a team and understanding that um, there are others who will look out for me if I'm doing what my part. There are others who will have my back. But it was hard in the beginning. The first 5 years, I would say, was kind of hard, even though it was enjoyable on the civilian side because I spent a lot of time overseas.
Okay.
But the military life was fairly easy in retrospect.
Okay. What is the biggest lesson, your biggest takeaway from being in the military, serving in the military?
The discipline. The
Okay.
discipline definitely set me up for success now because I can set a goal and build my roadmap off of where I want to be and be able to apply myself to get to that point without too much deviation.
I'm prior Air Force, so I can relate so much, and I don't think people understand the blessing that comes with it. Whether you have a good or bad experience in the military, you always learn discipline, and that's a big trait to have, especially in today's time.
Yes, yes, I agree.
So retired, you retired from the military.
Yes, I am. I
Wow,
did 23
congratulations.
years.
2023.
23, yes.
Okay, okay. So you come out the military, and now, how long have you been out?
This year would make my third year being retired. I retired in August 1st was my of 2021 was my first official retirement day.
So is it a big difference now that you've been out? Is it a big difference, a different world from being in the military?
It is. It is definitely a different world, and it. The good thing about it is because of so many years of being taught to be disciplined, it's not as hard as I thought it would be
Right,
to be on this side of the fence.
right. I remember my first job when I got out the military. I was a contractor for a company and had a pretty good position or whatever. And so, like, I was getting up looking for like my paperwork, my like staplers. I wanted to do all my stuff myself, and everybody was like, "We're doing it for you," and I'm like, "Why?" Like it
Right.
was just they were like, "Who are you and where'd you come from?" and stuff. I'm like, I'm used to working. Like I'm used to the military has taught me let's get it done. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Yes.
you have to be a team because if one person fell, you mess up the whole thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a lot. But having my own business now, it's a blessing. I thank God for the military because He taught me to be
Mm.
who I am now.
Yeah. I agree. I definitely agree. Um,
So, just were you gonna say something?
no, I was just gonna say, yeah, I definitely feel the same way as far as the blessing of the discipline that the military gives, because as you mentioned, you being a business owner, that is where I've actually started going into. So I started two different business ventures, both are two different sides of the fence.
Okay.
The one company is Head High Local Consulting Team. That is more of a management style company. But through that company, we have a food truck that we're currently running, which serves our local area. And then I have another company which is called The Network, and it's an IT company, and I do business as Integrity IT.
Okay. Okay. That makes a lot of okay. So with your food truck, is it
Yes.
you guys serve food or what do y'all do with that?
So we have hometown foods for us, Chicago style food. So we do Chicago style hot
Ah,
dogs, sausages, and Italian beef sandwiches right now. That is
oh, y'all need to come to Arkansas. Like, all y'all missing is the Garrett popcorn, and y'all in there.
right.
Okay, okay. So you have the food truck, and then what's your other business?
Integrity IT support. So it is a small business and residential IT support company.
Okay,
We perform computer repairs. We can install home networks. We can install home theater systems, home automation. Um, Help you transition if you have, say, Office 365 or Google G Suites, and you're trying to transition one way or the other. We can help you make that successful transition from one software to another. Also have a website and apps division who works specifically on building websites and applications for other businesses.
okay.
So that is just a snippet of what we offer right now, which is just our main staple for the business.
I like that. I like that. So being an entrepreneur, coming out the military and entering into the entrepreneur world, what is the hardest thing that you feel that you experience?
Um, from the military to entrepreneur, the hardest thing was honestly the information. In the military, one thing we weren't always the best at it, but we shared information very well with each other. And if you asked a question, someone would help you find the answer or at least point you in the right direction. On this side, you have to find that person or that group who will be able to assist you in finding the answers that you need in order for you to be successful. Sometimes that's not always right there in your apparent vicinity for you. You just have to do that digging and research. So that for me was the hardest transition from soldier to entrepreneur.
Okay. Okay. So here's the great thing about you. Somebody submitted you. You didn't submit yourself. Somebody submitted you. And I always love that. I love because I'm one of those people who I feel like, of course, the magazine caters to black men, so that's what I'm talking about or whatever. Although I love everybody, but I just think that black men do not get the requisite recognition that they deserve, and they're often overlooked. So I love when we get emails and different things, people saying, "Hey, I know this great black man, and he deserves to be seen." And so I gotta say kudos to you for that,
Thank you.
because sometimes you feel unappreciative, and like nobody's watching. Somebody's watching you, so that's a great thing.
And that is great, and I'm honored to actually be here. I put in a lot of work, so and I don't ask for a reward or even ask to be recognized. It's part of who I am. Just trying to push forward and get things done to be able to reach that goal.
Right. I like it. I like it. One of the things that they talked about in their submission about you was that you have a vision to start a school.
Yes, I do. So
Okay.
my excuse me, my vision is to start a school. Two schools actually.
Okay.
One I call the Empowerment School. That is to address the need of incarcerated personnel coming out of the system,
Okay.
nonviolent offenders, or even depends on the violent offenders charge and the reason behind it. Because we all make mistakes, but the problem
Yeah.
is that we don't have a reintegration or a program that I've seen that helps them to reintegrate back into society successfully. So I
Okay.
want to be able to address that piece to give them something to look forward to, because I have seen people who've come out and they're trying, but no one wants to give them a chance, and they don't have a skill per se that is very needed. So I want to have a school that reintegrates, also gives them skills like construction, carpentry, electricity, plumbing, those skills that are usable and always in demand.
Okay. So
And
why people coming out of the system?
uh, well,
The system.
when they're in, a lot of people make bad decisions.
Okay.
So I'm a product of my environment.
Okay.
And with me being a product, I'm going to do things that are acceptable in my current environment and not always acceptable in the environment that I want to go into.
Okay.
So I get caught with a gun or drugs, and now I have this label that society says, okay, you served your time, but you still have to hold this sign up that says you're this.
Right. Right.
And now I'm going to go for a job, and they're looking at that as, oh, well, you had this charge, we can't hire you.
Okay.
But if you're able to be empowered with the skills to either A, start a business, or be a part of a get the skills to be a part of a business that is willing to assist you, then you're better off to reintegrate and make better choices and not revert back to making those same mistakes again because you feel like you don't have a choice. So it's all about providing choices to those people who may feel like they don't have one, and know that they have actual support versus lip service.
Okay. And the great thing about it is that you didn't experience any of this or whatever, and you're still willing to give to a audience that has. So that says a lot about your character too.
Thank you.
I like that. I like that. So I have to when I every opportunity I get to put a black man on the spot, I do. I do
Okay.
because I want you guys to have the opportunity to express yourself. In the society that we're living today,
Mhm.
what are your thoughts on how black men are treated? And I know that's very broad. You can go any direction that you
Uh-huh.
want.
Well, um, overall, it is not a fair treatment. A lot of negativity is still cast, even through social media, through the media period, of us still having, of being inferior to everyone else.
That
Um,
isn't true, but yes.
and they, so the way that I see it is that the exceptional person of color is looked at as the exception and not the rule, when there are more exceptional people of color than there are non people who don't meet that exceptional quote unquote status. There are a lot of us doing great things in this world, but we're not getting the credit we deserve for it. And we're being portrayed as, oh, well, that one person is doing this great thing when there are another 500,000 who are doing just as many great things. So I believe we just don't get the credit that we deserve for the things that we do.
I agree. I totally agree. Now, you mentioned earlier that you had a son at 18. So, how many children do you have?
I have six total.
Okay.
That includes my stepdaughter, who I've been raising since she was two.
Okay. Okay.
So I have three boys and three girls, technically.
Okay. So, having your children, how old, what's the age gap? What's the
So
old,
my oldest is 28. My youngest is 15.
okay. Okay. So, with that gap, because it still applies, how do you teach them? What do you instill into them about surviving in today's society without getting caught up in the social media world or just the crazy stuff that happens in our society?
Well, my oldest is, as much as I love him, he is my trouble child. He's
Okay.
been in trouble in the past, and he's still trying to find his way.
Okay.
My my middle and my youngest boy and my oldest daughter, they're all doing very well. They've had great support from me when I could be there, but more so from their mothers.
Okay.
Um, I have my middle boy who's going to school to be a neurosurgeon. I have my youngest boy who's in the Army National Guard, who is a paralegal,
Okay.
and my oldest daughter is a social worker.
Okay. Okay.
So, and my youngest two are the ones who I try to give more guidance to now, so because they're still receptive to it. So when I see disparities in the way they're acting, or I see them being pulled into the social media thing or going down a path that I don't like, I'll just touch on it. Hey, just so you know, I didn't like this piece of what you did or how you said it. There is a better way.
Okay.
Let me show you, let me tell you, and then we can work on this together in order for you to be a better you. Don't do it for me, do it for you. Because and then I'll highlight, not everyone in this society is going to be for you, and they're not going to respond the same way I am.
Right.
So it is my job, whether you want to hear it or not, to help guide you down the right path.
I like it. I like it. Last but not least, give advice to someone around your oldest son age, 28, who whatever, who may be struggling and trying
Okay.
to fit in, has gotten in trouble or whatever. Give advice to that group of people.
Well, what I would say to them is, first, figure out who you are, not who you are in your environment, who you are to you. At the end of the day, those around you who are going to be around you will be around you even as you're evolving. Don't get caught up in the day to day, the drama. It only does bad things to you, and it keeps you in a perpetual cycle of negativity. Learn how to evolve and let things go. The dinosaurs couldn't evolve and they're no longer around. Don't be a dinosaur.
Like
Evolve.
that. I've never heard that before. I'm sorry. I like that, but go ahead.
Yeah, but evolve. Don't be so stuck. The only thing permanent in this life is change. Be willing to change and give yourself grace if something doesn't go the way that you expected it to go. Just keep moving forward. Don't look back.
I like that. I like that. Tell my audience how to follow you on social media, how to contact you, or what all the information that you want them to know.
Okay. Um, well, on personally, I'm QP Stockling Senior on Facebook and Instagram. Um, I my website is integrityitsupport.com, which is where I post a lot of computer things, which I'm starting to get more postings on there now, as that's been my focus over the past couple of months as I began kind of restructuring the way that I'm handling business. And you can also find Integrity IT Support on Instagram as well as X and Facebook. The Facebook page is not up right now, but I do have a page on Facebook that I have to get back up and running.
Okay. Okay. And where can they find that food truck? Like, what city are you in again?
We're located in Tennessee. We work in the Nashville area, between
Okay.
Clarksville and Nashville and surrounding areas.
Okay.
The name of the food truck is Miss Red's Chicago Eats and Treats.
Okay.
We do have a Facebook page, and we also have an Instagram page as well.
Okay. Okay. Any last words that you want to put out before we end?
Um, Outside of, I'm honored and filled with gratitude to be a part of this, and I want to thank you and thank the person who um, sent in for me. Other than that, honestly, I would have never done anything like this myself, because I know I'm doing good things, but I don't feel that I need any recognition for it. It's just getting it done and moving forward and being able to be the best person that I can be, um, is good enough for me. So thank you. thank her, and that would be it. That would be definitely be it.
You are more than welcome. And that's why this magazine is so important, because there's so many Black men that's doing major things and nobody knows about it. And they don't feel like they need to be recognized because they do it with passion. And that's what they feel that they're supposed to do. And I'm looking for those people. I'm looking for those people who, so the world can see it, because you deserve it. You deserve to say, you know what, good job, we see you and everything. Wait till they see you in a magazine, even better. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be a part of Rulers Magazine. And I will talk to you soon. Have an amazing day. Do not hang up. Okay, you stay on here. Everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in to Rulers Magazine Live.